How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is The Voice, and this is Lost Villains of the Golden Age.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm introducing this character on this segment of Lost Villains of the Golden Age.
Why do you keep calling it Lost Villains?
Because the character that I'm covering is the headlining feature.
You found that in Harvey?
That's right, we're doing Satan. And since Harvey Comic Book Month was my idea...
It was my idea!
Since it was my idea, I decided that I couldn't let the opportunity go by without covering Satan.
I don't think I remember there being Satan.
He was on two of the covers, and he was two of the featured stories.
To be fair, that cover looked more like the Claw.
Yeah, he did look more like that. Now, there are 4 issues of Pocket Comics, despite the fact that I think that they intended it to go on longer. And he is in all 4 issues, and I think that they missed a golden opportunity, because in the second issue, he actually fights one of the heroes of the comics. And I thought it would have been interesting if they had done that with every issue, but they didn't. In fact, they brought in a whole new character that I think it was a disservice that neither Satan nor, Nazi, and you'll find out who that is, didn't go on past these 4 issues. I really think that this could have been a character that, if they had explored a lot more, could have been a lot more popular. He had 4 issues. He may be a personification of the evil, even though he doesn't have any of the powers of the namesake that he is named after. He does get a little bit of an origin story in the second issue. So let's go ahead and cover Satan on this Lost Villains.
It's Lost Heroes
of the Golden Age. Satan, real name, unknown, first appeared in Pocket Comics #1, 1941. The original publisher is Harvey, created by Autobinder and Pierce Rice. And if you've watched a number of my videos, Autobinder is a very familiar name. Now, even though he is named Satan, he is not the Satan from hell. He is actually a real person who has been transformed to look this way. Believe me, I've read all the issues. What apparently happened is he gets an origin story in the second issue. He's been around for over 500 years, and he appears to be a Spanish conquistador. And since they're looking for the fountain of youth, I'm guessing that he was a Spanish conquistador along with the exploration of Ponce de Leon, who was looking for the fountain of youth, and this guy found it. The famous explorer never found his spring, but one of his men came upon it. At last, after all these years, I found the fountain of youth. It's good. And after he drank from the fountain, he turned into the bestial figure that you see here. What's happened to me, I'm turning into, the waters gave him eternal life, but a hideous deformed body. I'm condemned to roam the earth forever. And they show him being responsible for a number of crimes and stuff over the years. And since his whole body turned red, and you can see the depiction here, he decided to go by the moniker of Satan. Now, the whole thing about Satan is weird, and I think that they did something great with the second issue that they should have continued in all of the issues. In the first issue, he is beaten by a air cadet named Jim Bradley. Now, of course, he's the bad guy, and he has to be defeated at the end, which he is. But in the second issue, he actually fought one of the heroes of the comic, which they extended the title because they're basically putting two of the characters together, the Spirit of 76. So it was a longer story because the 2 of them were having a story in one. Now, in 3 and 4, they should have put Satan against some of the other heroes. That would have been awesome. In each issue, Satan is fighting one of the heroes of the comics that he ends up losing to. And since he has called Satan, he should have gone up against Red Blaze, which was in the comic book, and we will go over one of these days. But the only one he went up against was the Spirit of 76. He gets beaten by a radio operator in the third issue. I don't know how this radio operator was so, well trained and conditioned as a soldier. I mean, it may go back to being part of World War II, but when you hear that this guy's a radio operator, you're not thinking of somebody who can go toe-to-toe with a supervillain, basically. And in the last issue, and it's really kind of stupid, he fights a yellow-skinned version of himself with his same name but spelled backwards. So it's Natas, Natus. And he is completely yellow, looks just like Satan, and then they're trying to prove which one is more sinister, or which one is more evil. And the very last page of the last story, they both shoot each other with a machine gun. It might have been a Tommy gun. Time of the times. Now, after they try to set fire to a post office and they're beaten by a couple of newsies, and I wish I weren't making that up, they find each other later, and let's see, suddenly each drawing a flaming machine gun, hundreds of bullets tear into each of them. When the smoke clears, the blasted bodies wallow helplessly in the winding pool of blood. Was this the inevitable doom of Satan, Lord of Evil? You're not the Lord of Evil, you're just a guy who lived a long time. Or will the fiend arise to kill again? Watch for the next issue of Pocket Comics. I think that Pocket Comics had every intention of continuing, because each one of the stories, as I mentioned when I covered the Phantom Sphinx, each one of the stories in this issue said that there was going to be another issue. So I think that they had fully intended it to go on. Now, Satan did not have partners that he kept alive except for one. He would kill anybody who set up for them. I mean, even in one issue he says, if you're a traitor, you could betray me too, which you can't deny the logic. But there was a female that was named Satana. It's like Satan with an extra letter. And she only appeared in 2 issues. She appeared in the second and third issue. In her third issue, she appeared in just the Spirit of 76, where she would end up dying. And I think she had hypnotic powers, but it seemed like that was the only time that they used it. Now, many of Satan's machinations would come true. He was trying to kill people and cause sabotage for the U.S., teaming up with Adolf Hitler in the first issue, and then just basically being a terrorist after that. But in each issue, he would be stopped, because the villains can't succeed. In the Golden Age, the villain may be able to complete most of his plans, but in the end, the villain has to be defeated because, heroes reign supreme. So he would always be defeated in the end, but that's just the short run. First issue, teaming with Hitler. Second issue, going up against the Spirit of 76 with Satana. The third issue, trying to destroy U.S. factories and munition plants, causing sabotage, which, if you've watched a number of videos on this channel, that is a very common reoccurring theme. And in the fourth issue, basically finding the yellow-skinned version of himself, which does not get an origin story, which may have if Pocket Comics had continued. So let's go ahead and cover the first issue, first appearance, and you'll get a basic idea. So let's do this. Just before we get started with the first issue, I think they had a continuity error. Satan, the mad dictator of the underworld, born with an ugly body and warped mind. No. You saw me showing you in the second issue. It shows him being an explorer who drinks from the fountain of youth. So I don't know what happened in the continuity between the first and second one. So, anyways, let's get on with the origin. Or the first appearance. Sorry. Satan, written by Endo Binder. Satan, mad dictator of the underworld, born with an ugly body and warped mind, filled with hatred towards his fellow men, seek the downfall of civilization. Wherever there is crime, brutality, death in the world, there is Satan. At the busiest waterfront in the world, ships are loaded with leased land war materials for the aid of Britain. I had to look this up. Leased lend war materials was something that actually happened in the World War, where we were lending, and it says Britain here, supplies for the war, planes, tanks, ammunition, just stuff to help out the war effort in general. The loading is almost done. The fleet will sail tonight. Best wishes to Adolf. And then the boat explodes. Now, I actually had to look this up to see if these were true, too. They're talking about how the boats are on fire, and the fire tugs. These are actually boats. I thought it was just something that was made up for just storytelling purposes, but no, these are ships that will put out fires on the water like that. I think they're actually pretty cool. Okay, the fire tugs try to save the merchant fleet, but they are helpless against a raging fire which sweeps the waterfront, consuming every ship in its way. Wow, he burned down the whole waterfront. Okay, every ship burned, Mr. President. Shocking, some dangerous and ruthless saboteurs is at work undermining our program to defend democracy. He must be stopped. Meanwhile, in the underworld, my plans are maturing. I'll make the world quake in fear. Then he gets a knock on the door, and as he's talking to this man, he talks about how he's done the job. Now you shall have your reward. I'm falling. I have no further need for you, slave. Besides, if you would be a traitor to your country, then you'd be a traitor to me. As gruesome as this scene is, he does make a lot of sense. If he's a traitor to the country, he could betray him too. Okay, so he gets on the radio telephone. I love that. He gets on the radio telephone to talk to somebody. Let's see. The consignment of materials to Britain has been sent to the fishes, Adolf. Good. Very good. Now I have another job for you, Herr Satan. Let's see. Just a moment, my treaty-breaking friend. So he says that he doesn't mind working with Adolf, but first he has to pay him for the services that he's already rendered. And let's see, is my President Kraut friend? It'll be a pleasure to sink these toys, all the way I do. It will be a grand joke of America, a grand joke. A certain lady will help. So he's charging for his services, and he says that he's going to use a grand lady, and we go to the Statue of Liberty. Now, Satan and his men, they shoot the guards of the statue, and the guys are like, hey, we don't mind shooting anybody in uniform, even if they are just guards. And as they're going up the statues, his cohorts are getting exhausted, he does mention a little bit of American history at the top of the Statue of Liberty. Here we are now. The switch for the torchlight is right behind the panel. Soon the lady symbol of America will give the signal of their destruction. What's that poem? One if by land and two if by sea. So the sub, we can tell it's a sub operation right there. Oh, it even says it. Flagship of a submarine pack. Okay. So the sub is waiting for the signal from the Statue of Liberty, and as soon as they see it, they start shooting at the harbor with, is it torpedoes? I mean, it would have to be torpedoes. It's coming from the sub. And you start seeing that the harbor becomes a bedlam of destruction. I love that. A bedlam of destruction as the unexpected sub plays havoc among the naval ships in the New York harbor. This is the end of the unit of the American fleet. Adolf will pay another $1 million for this. You're charging a lot. $1 million back in the golden age? That's a small fortune right there. What's our cut, Satan? Yeah, it better be big. You'd get the firing squad for this if they ever told Uncle Sam, and he throws his torch off of the statue. Let's see. Suddenly he is surrounded by guards. He says that his name is Satan, and he jumps out with a parachute. In the beginning, they're trying to set this guy up as a supernatural entity, but if that was actually the case, he wouldn't jump out of the Statue of Liberty. He'd be able to, teleport out of the way. And secondly, he wouldn't need a parachute. So it kind of denotes the fact that he's supernatural at all. I'll swim to the shore when a grand night's work. I wonder what Adolph's what's done next. And then we will come to the hero of this issue. His name is Jim. Let's see. At Cap Porter, young man training for American defense, Private Air Cadet Jim Bradley meets the camp nurse Patricia Randall during his off hours. So he doesn't even know he's going to be a hero. He's over here flirting with a nurse. So they're in this arsenal area, and they see that they're setting up dynamite. Look, Jim, it's Satan and his gang. Wow. I had to pause for a minute for that one. It's Satan and his gang. Oh, wow. I mean, okay. So, as Satan and his gang runs off, let's see, just in time, Pat, run and warn the camp, I'll hurry. It looks like he's stomping out the fuse so that the dynamite doesn't go off. Meanwhile, Satan, seeing his plan thwarted, twists his ugly face in rage. I don't know how you can twist that fate. It already looks pretty ugly. Now, Jim tells her that he wants her to warn everybody about the fact that Satan and his gang is here trying to develop the munitions bunker. But they catch her and they put her in the bombing plane, into the bomber with her. Let's go on our program. Let's see. We'll let her witness the horror and destruction I will let loose upon the camp. As they go to try and reignite the dynamite, Jim talks about how good of a shot he is, and sees the handkerchief and gets into a small plane to pursue the bomber. Planes don't get off this easily. It's a comic book. Okay. Now, he starts bombing the airfield from the air. In the bomber's cabin, Satan gloats at the shocked look in Pat's eyes. Take care of the airfield now. Not take care of the airfield. Now to drop a nice little egg down on the arsenal to finish it off. Then I'll flatten the camp to dust. You're a fiend, a heartless fiend. Well, at that point, you're just complimenting him. So the bomber drops even more bombs, gets the arsenal, and leaves a wake of destruction. And then he says now that he's done bombing the camp, he's going to throw her out. How rude. And just as she's very close to the end, we see that Jim is above the bomber. He says he can't shoot the bomber down because Pat's on there. Well, yeah, I mean... Okay, criticism said. It says that he's going to land the little plane onto the big plane. There's a whole host of reasons why this wouldn't work. Succeeding, he crawls to the cabin. If you said that you're going to get ahead of the bomber and jump out of the little plane onto the big plane, that, although I would say is really unbelievable, I would believe it a lot more than you landing the little plane on top of the big plane while they're both in motion in the air. Okay, he finds... Why are there windows open in the plane? And you see, this scene doesn't make sense. He leaps into what appears to be an open window, which you wouldn't have an open window on the plane. So he leaps through a window that would have to be ahead of where he jumps into, where she's getting pushed out, the whole area. I mean, look where the cabin is in relationship to where he's jumping in at, to where the open door is. The proportions of where everything is doesn't make any sense. The cabin of the ship would have to be on the other end. Now, you wouldn't be able to draw that, but if you're not going to be able to draw it that way, have the plane flying in the other direction, because the perspective that we are given of what the plane looks like, he's leaping in the windows of the wrong side for where we see the cabin and the open door for where he's leaping in at. Because he's coming down to left to right perspective. The cabin would be on the right. But as he goes into the plane, it shows the plane going off to the right. But where the cabin would have to be is, even though it's on the right side, to have that perspective of the cabin, the plane would have to be flying left. Anyway, and then Satan, the whole perspective thing is just messed up. Anyways, as Satan's getting ready to put her out, you are quick triggered, my young friend, but we'll see what I can do with this. And he releases a tarantula that's got, okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 legs. It's a spider with 18 legs. That is most devastating. And even if they were trying to say, well, that's not, like each of the two lines is an individual leg, then with 18 lines, that would be 9 legs. So it either has 9 legs or 18 legs, which would be a very terrifying tarantula. So the tarantula misses him. Look out, Jim. Missed. And now Satan, greetings from Uncle Sam. And he hits Satan, who gets bitten by the tarantula. I'm going to read these last 3 panels. Falling, Satan's neck is exposed to the deadly fangs of the tarantula on the floor. It bit me, I'll die. I'll take the quicker way. Leaving the falling ship, Private Jim Bradley and Pat Randall head for the ground. And that will end. That's the end of the maddest killer ever known. America can once again breathe freely thanks to you, Jim. But is Satan really dead? Or will he return again to wage a single-handed war against civilization? Okay, I don't like the fact that he says he'll die, because in the next issue he says that he can't die. He's done even worse things to himself and getting bitten by a spider trying to kill himself. They definitely had a continuity error from the first to the second issue. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something new about the rarity of the story villains, where they had the villains where they had the feature named after them. It wasn't very common in the Golden Age. Now, we are continuing Harvey month. Maybe he'll let me cover the Black Cat. We all know how I feel about superheroines. And until next time, we'll be seeing